everybody, it's Master Gardener Bernie Delaunay back with another edition of It's Not Work, It's Fun. I know a lot of you have a lot of questions. One of the biggest questions I get is, what do I do about the ant hills? Now, when I first started out here in this spot in north central Wisconsin, we had nothing but sand in this yard. There was nothing but sand. And there wasn't even one blade of grass. As a matter of fact, it's really bad when you don't even have any dandelions, okay? So what I want to let you know is how to deal with the sand hills. Well, it's basically the ants, the biting ants, and northern termites. Yes, we do have termites up here, but they do hibernate outside in the winter time, and they do come out in the summertime. And one of the things that you really need to do is to learn how to deal with them. Now you can spray them, okay? This is just water in this spray. I have two different sprayers here. This is more of a little tiny handheld sprayer. Let's get a shot of the anthill if we can, Mr. Cameraman. Okay. This is just a little pump sprayer. It's just an LTV. I don't have a working big one. I've got to get one because all my sprayers are old. This is just water. You can spray it like this. You can spray, but you're gonna spray constantly, okay? And that's just water. I haven't added anything in there. One of the things that you can do is to use one of nature's finest products, either sugar or salt or both, because salt has some of the minerals in it that we all need for our bodies. If you take too much salt, that's kind of bad for your kidneys, bad for your liver. So limit your intake of salt. Rock salt, what I have right here, okay, this is called kosher salt. And this has, okay, let's see if we can get a good shot of this. This is called regular kosher salt. Now, one of the bad things about salt is the ants don't like the taste of salt. And they'll kind of go away from it. But what happens is when you put a little bit of salt on there, and I'm going to talk about how to make a bunch of different mixes, the ants don't necessarily like the salt, okay? So they're going to run away from it. But the ones on top, okay, this is something you can do. So I'm just going to spread a little bit out here. You don't need much, because if you have a lot of animals around, what happens? The salt is too strong for the ants, okay, and the termites, okay? And what happens is, if you put on a whole lot of salt, it'll attract different kinds of animals. It'll attract deer, it'll attract bears, it'll attract raccoons, even though raccoons do have a sweet tooth. It'll attract a lot of different things. One of the reasons you want to have some salt is because as soon as the ant touches it, it's poisonous, it'll kill it. You don't need a whole lot, okay? Also, what I have are my garden gloves here, okay? This is something that biting ants especially, if you have biting ants, they will, okay, now I'm not sitting real close, we're both kind of far away from this. If you have biting ants, they will bite and they do hurt. And some people have allergic reactions to biting ants. Black ants and the black ants with the red, well, the back end, like the back end of the body, the lesser half of the body is red, okay? If you have pure red ants, they're usually either really, really tiny, minuscule, or they're really, really big. You don't want any of those, especially getting into your house, because they'll be all over. And if they're biting ants, and trust me, I've been bitten by biting ants many, many times. It hurts, okay? Also, if you have just regular black ants, carpet ants, whatever, that get inside your house, you can vacuum those up. Now, I'm not going to sit here and vacuum anything up. I'm going to do stuff on a larger scale because I have a pretty large piece of property. And we're purposely showing you just this part of the yard, because I don't want anybody getting any ideas. I have a bunch of two-legged critters coming around here all the time. That's why I can't have anything planted in my gardens. They've got to be in the big pots and kind of hidden away. They're still growing outside, but they're hidden. It's hard to see them, okay? So it's the four-legged critters that come around. Some of them, you don't mind. The deer are beautiful, and You know, the bears are beautiful too. However, you don't want to get real close. Coyotes, wolves, they're beautiful too. We have a lot of animals around here. And the thing is that you want to be careful. Now, as I said, going back, black ants, even the black-red ants or the red ants, they don't really like salt. They'll avoid it. But if you sprinkle it right on top, I can see them right now. They've already gotten too close to the salt, and they're getting frustrated. And ants have a habit of building their communities deep, deep, deep underground. Okay? They'll go sometimes even miles under the ground, and they'll have caverns underground where they actually will have the termite and ant caves, you might say. Okay, that's one thing you can do. This is kosher salt, and it's going to add back. Okay, I already added a little bit. I'm not going to add much more. It's got calcium, it's got magnesium and potassium. Okay, that is stuff that the earth needs. I'm not going to put a whole lot in there, just a little bit on the outside, a little bit over there. Not too much, not too much. Okay, you don't need that much. Now the other thing that I talked about is sugar. Okay, and yes, you can use insecticide. I'm going to mix that in, but you have to be patient. You have to wait. I got this is Himalayan salt. Okay. This is a little bit different kind of salt. And I use this because Himalayan salt has more calcium in it, and it's pink. And yeah, you can use it on your food. I'm just going to spread it a little bit here. They don't like this either because it's got more calcium than the kosher salt or the rock salt. I didn't bring any rock salt out with me. It's just bigger crystals of salt. And for the sugar, I have brown sugar, I have cane sugar, and confectioner sugar. And yeah, they contain a little bit of calcium too. Not much magnesium, not a whole lot of potassium. Okay, our bodies need potassium in the form of bananas, sometimes tomatoes. Some people have allergies to tomatoes. This is Himalayan pink salt. And yeah, you can use it on your food. It doesn't harm the kidneys nearly as much as regular rock salt, kosher salt. You got to be careful how much salt you use. Okay, you got to find a middle part. Okay, so I'm going to spread that in there. Now I can spray all of this with insecticide. I can do all of that. However, I don't want that to be the final step. I'm going to use this and put this down here. Now right here is just regular it says insecticidal soap. Insecticidal soap, and I talked about just regular soap like Dawn soap as an insecticide before. If you've watched me before, and I know a whole lot of people over in Indianapolis, Indiana, are watching. Hi to them. I know a lot of people from up in northern Wisconsin watch as well. I have a lot of states who watch, not only at Wausau Public Access TV from Iowa and Illinois, Minnesota, and Michigan, but also around the entire state of Wisconsin. A lot of people remember me, and I was asked about this just the other day. Hey, were you the master gardener that was on Wisconsin Public Radio? And yeah, the answer is yes. Now, if you notice, can we point down at this a little bit? There's not a whole lot of grass or weeds or anything that are building that, because what happens is the ants tend to eat the roots. And even if they've got caverns and little huts and caves and things like that deep underground, and yes, they do go very deep underground, you cannot dig your way all the way through to an anthill that is underground. You can't do it. You're going to go down a couple of miles. You're just not going to dig down that far. All right, there's just tiny bits of grass there. Now, if you spray it, you're going to be spraying a whole lot. And we've had, okay, let's get a shot of this again, Mr. Cameraman. We've had just an enormous amounts of rain here. And you don't have to buy this kind of soap, okay? I bought this obviously, this was a sale. This doesn't say, this was the sign of Northrop King. That was a big corn company out of Iowa. I don't know if it's actually owned by them anymore or not. For organic gardening, it says a lot of stuff can be organic gardening. Dawn dish soap, that's organic gardening. Cane sugar, that's organic gardening. You can put a lot of that stuff in there. You can make a mix. Now, I do want to remind people that many years ago, okay, so Mr. Cameraman, are we up? Okay. He says, yeah, we are. Okay, well, anyway, many years ago, if, say, you had a big piece of land and you were maybe a small farmer, maybe you had 20 acres. Okay, let's make it a real small farm. Um, you didn't, many years ago, 30s, 40s, and 50s, even 60s, there weren't a lot of pharmacists to go to. You had to go into town. A lot of farmers didn't make the trip into town many years ago. Maybe it was once a week to go grocery shopping. Maybe, you know. And yes, folks, I'm keeping my feet away from the anthill. And yeah, this anthill has been mowed over, and I've put the insecticide on there many times. I've killed off a lot of them, but I want to kill off more, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You just got to keep watching. All right, so many years ago, what happens is a lot of farmers, they didn't have a chance to go into town maybe once a week, maybe sometimes even only twice a month, okay? So what the farm wives did, and I know this for a fact because my grandmother from Iowa, so it's Mason City, Iowa, used to use whatever was at her fingertips to make her roses survive, make the vegetables in the garden grow, the corn, the sweet corn. And by the way, whoever stole my sweet corn, I do know who you are. I hope my corn doesn't taste very good or grow very good for you because you came into my yard when I was gone and stole the stalks. Thank you very much. Guess what? I don't appreciate you at all. There's been a lot of thievery going on in this neighborhood. That's why I've got a lot of stuff in different areas, you might say. Because as I said before, folks, the two-legged critters, can't stand them. Four-legged critters, some of them are really beautiful. Some of them are really cute, like raccoon babies. They're really cute. All right, so getting back to the story. The ants and knuckles, the farmers didn't have an opportunity to go buy insecticide. Maybe they didn't have a lot of money. Maybe they got money after cashing in their crops at the end of the season, and they couldn't buy insecticide. So the farmer's wife used whatever she had at her fingertips. And sometimes that would include stuff like hydrogen peroxide. Okay, this is just a regular bottle. This is nothing special. This is an old bottle. It doesn't have very much left in it. Okay, this is part of what goes into insecticide. And I've studied this stuff relentlessly. I know what I'm talking about. And a lot of farmers say, well, I'll just go and I'll just buy 40 bags of fertilizer and 40 bags of insecticide. Well, that's going to start costing a lot of money. If you think back and you go back to the old thinking of how they used to do things, sometimes that saved money. I put together my own recipes many years ago when I was on Wisconsin Public Radio as their master gardener. My own recipes as to how to make your insecticide. I talked about making them out of marigolds. Part of it was using a cap full. I'm going to show you how to do that. You got to be very careful when you do this. If you don't want to do this at all, don't want to take a chance, then don't. Just buy the stuff off the shelf. But what you're getting in bottles like this, there's an ant crawling right on here. Okay, this has got some kind of dish soap in it, maybe a little hydrogen peroxide, and not necessarily green rubbing alcohol. Not necessarily, okay. This is an old bottle too. I just brought out the green because it's kind of a fun color. Anyway, inside this bottle you're going to find certain amounts of rubbing alcohol, isopropyl rubbing alcohol. This says with wintergreen. I'm not sure how much wintergreen is actually, that's a spice by the way. I'm not sure how much wintergreen is actually in there. And you're also going to find this right here, hydrogen peroxide, okay? So I'm going to enhance that. I have another form of sugar over here that I want to add, okay? You can add all different kinds of sugars, okay? It's got a little bit of, I'm going to use just a little bit of this in here. It's a pump sprayer. And I'll show you one reason. Okay, this is just a regular little sprayer. I can put a little bit of water in here. I don't need much. If you have, okay, this is a nice little sprayer. It has a, as you push it down, you can push this underneath it. Okay, I'm going to pump it up a little bit. And I like these for the inside. I've used this, I showed this on a demonstration inside the house once. And you can hook it down underneath like that. So you can do that. And that's pretty cool. Now, one of the reasons I have a bigger sprayer right here. This one, folks, I have to get a new one because I've got several of these and none of them work. Okay, this is what we call a professional sprayer. Yeah, it's made out of plastic, but it's really, really old. You pump it down, what you do. I don't have any water in here and I'm not going to use it because typically what happens is the seal breaks on these things. So I'm going to have to show a bigger professional sprayer at some other time. And you twist to go like this and then you twist it this way. Okay, that's locked. Twist it the other way, the opposite way. And you can spray it with this. You got to pump it. This is pump action. But typically what happens, and they have kits that you used to be able to buy to seal these sprayers up. Typically what happens, I'm going to take this out of here. The seal breaks and it doesn't hold the air in there anymore. This is just I had it, this is over 20 years old. It no longer works. This seal is supposed to be an airtight seal in here, but it breaks. And you can buy the rubber sealings, but then also what happens is over the years, the plastic breaks. This is all cracked in here. This was a seal that used to work. It is no longer a seal that works. I can replace it. I can get another one. I can buy one. This seal comes off and I can show you that. I'm going to get another sprayer, and if I've got, see, this seal breaks. It's all cracked. It's no good anymore. And some people try to replace them with rubber bands. That doesn't work either. So what happens is you either got to buy another seal, buy a kit, and sometimes these kits are pretty expensive, or you buy a whole new sprayer. Now I'm going to do both. I'm going to make sure I have a kit and a sprayer. I looked around. This is junk. It's actually a very old seal. You can see, can you get a close-up of that, Mr. Cameraman? You can see it's cracked. It's no good anymore. It's not going to do anything. So you got to pay attention to that stuff. And I have a bunch of older ones around here. I'll see if I can't get a couple of them maybe fixed up. But then it's about time. I haven't bought a new sprayer in probably 10 years. So this is it for right now. As I said, I'm not going to waste my time. You got to feel that pressure building up. Oh, wow. That never happened before. I don't know why that happened. Maybe this wasn't tight enough. I don't know, maybe something just broke in here. It's not working now. Maybe this thing wasn't as good as I thought. Okay, so at any rate, that's the end of that. I don't really care about that. All right, so what I'm going to do, I don't know if this is going to work again or no. No, something just broke in there. You shouldn't be pumping that easily. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mixture, just a little tiny one here. I got a little bit of water in here. First of all, I'm going to go through this. This is confectioner sugar, and this is easy. You put it in there, and sugar really attracts the ants. But you want them to take the sugar along. They won't take the salt, but you want them to take the sugar down to the ant hills. I'm only going to spread a little bit here. That's all I need. I don't need a whole lot. Just a little bit. And that'll evaporate over the... You know, you can use that. Okay. This is confectioner sugar. What they really like more than anything... And this stuff is kind of expensive, so you got to be careful as to how much you put on there. And one of my other sugars just took a topple out of there. Okay, this is right here. I'm going to put this down here. This is real cane sugar. Then I've got two other kinds. This is actually cane sugar. Okay, this stuff is kind of expensive. If you want to use it, outside, that's fine. But do remember, it's kind of expensive. And see, it comes out in crystals. I don't know if you can see that. That's actual real cane sugar. It looks like a difference halfway in between white sugar and brown sugar, which I have some. The ants are going, oh man, what the heck's going on here? I'm not going to put too much of this stuff. Is very expensive. Put a little bit of that in there. Well, that's good. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's going to get wet. If it gets wet, fine. Yeah, you can eat this stuff, okay? Just don't put any insecticide in it. All right, now, one of the things that I wanted to show you, and I haven't made any mixes yet either, and this, by the way, it's in a bag because some animals got into it and chewed through the bag, and now it's got holes in it. One of the things that I wanted to show you, let's see if I can get this over here. Well, that's all right. As I said, folks, after a while, these things don't work. The seals break, and they don't hold. They don't hold the air. Okay, I'm gonna move around here and get this. This is a different kind of sugar. Okay, we're gonna let it settle down a little bit here before I open this up. This is regular cherry cola. It says Super Chill. You can get the cheap soda anywhere. It's a cola. Okay, it's not the Coca-Cola brand. You don't have to have any specific brand. But what happens is it's got a lot of sugar in it. And yeah, you want the sugar to attract the ants and the termites because they're going to carry the insecticide down into the caves where a bunch of them are going to die. You want to kill 50 ants or you want to kill 5,000 ants. That's the difference right there. And you can make your own mixture, and I'm talking to some of the farmers that listen. If you want to, go ahead and buy your insecticide. Go ahead and spend all that money. But if you want to enhance it a little bit, here's what you do. You can take some of this stuff, and believe me, the ants like the dark sodas better than they do the white sodas or the lemon sodas because it tastes different to them. They prefer the dark sodas. White soda and like a lemon soda, you want to spray that on your fruit trees. And not just soda, because when it rains, it might attract ants, and if you don't have any insecticide in there, and don't make a mistake and drink the insecticide either, what happens, I'm only going to open this very, very slowly here. I hear it sizzling a little bit. I'm just gonna let some of this kind of cap off a little bit. And I will show you better sprayers. Yeah, this one just broke, believe it or not. It doesn't work now because something happened inside. I don't know what it was, I'm not really sure. Let's take a look. If you got your own equipment, you always have to inspect it, folks. And I don't care what it takes. Something happened here. I'm not really sure. Not really sure what happened in there. But let me tell you, it sure didn't last for very long. I've made investments on bigger things before. Yeah, the pump action doesn't work anymore. It's got a free action. It should be hard to do. Okay, now I'm not going to drink any of this, although some people would take a drink of this first. And yeah, you can use beer on your plants too. Some of the beer goes to most of the gardeners before it goes on the plants though. Alright, so one of the things I want to show you, I showed you the cane sugar, and I do have another pack of that. But brown sugar is cane sugar that's actually refined. Alright, now, I'm just going to take a little bit of this, just a tiny bit. And you can use confectioner sugar, you can use powdered sugar, you can use cane sugar. Cane sugar is kind of expensive though. Or you can use the sugar that's in the soda if you want to kill the ants and really protect. Mixed with an insecticide. It's the dark soda, cherry, root beer. Sometimes I think that people prefer the root beer for a part of an insecticide. Okay, I'm just going to spread a little bit of this here, and it's okay if it's in the little balls like that, because I'm going to spray it all down, and it'll spread out by itself. Now I can make a little bit of this. I'm going to take a little bit, just a little bit of this. Okay, some people prefer just making a little bit of their own. Okay, this is our kosher salt. Okay, just let that sit a little bit. Okay. All you gotta do is let that sit a little bit. Okay, you can pour it all over. You can even take, you know, you can break up these things that are in here. You can kind of rub them in a little bit. Just don't spend a whole lot of time doing it, because you don't want to get ants crawling on you, especially the biting ants. Okay. And how to mix it, the liquid with the liquid. Okay, this is almost, the salt's almost completely dissolved here. All right, now I'm going to put a little, actually I'm going to put just a little bit of powdered sugar in here, not a whole lot. Now before I get to the part of pouring it on there, what's going to happen is, you don't need much, folks, especially if you're only going to do a small area. If you're going to do a bigger area, I suggest doing all liquid, no powder, no salt crystals, no none of that, okay? All right, I'm just going to mix this up a little bit like this. And if it's still a little bit crystallized, that's okay. But before I do that, now you take the time to do this, and you can see most of this is dissolved. It's just a funny colored water. All right, before I do that, I'm going to put on my gloves. You always have to have gloves. Garden gloves. You always have to, I don't care what kind you have a garden gloves that can withstand. This is a regular insecticide. I've got stuff in here. Okay. This is a crystallized insecticide. Okay, these are granules, and there's some crystals in here. But it doesn't have anything that will attract the ants, especially the biting ants, the termites. They won't. The salt, the sugar and the salt, it does attract them. If the ants accidentally bring the salt crystals, especially the rock salt, down to their thing, it poisons them, okay? That's part of an insecticide. This is a granule. Use your gloves. Don't do this on a windy day. It could blow back in your face, or it could blow back on you. You might have an allergic reaction. And keep it at arm's length. You always want to be safe doing this. Okay, will a lot of that, okay, will a lot of this just dissolve? The ants are going crazy for a lot of this stuff already. You can take a shovel, you can smooth it out. Now, you don't want to touch the stuff with your hands. That's why I got gloves on. And a lot of times, yeah, I wash the gloves off afterwards. May not look like it, but these are tough, heavy-duty gloves. These are leather, and they can withstand a lot, okay? I want to get a little bit over there. Do you have to put this much on one particular patch? No, not really. All right, so a lot of people say, well, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to put some grass seed on top of it. No, you want to give the ants a chance to take this stuff down, and they're going crazy for the sugar. I don't know if you can see this, Mr. Cameraman. Can you see this? Okay, I gotta do my mix here, okay? If you don't want to do any of this stuff, okay, I gotta finish up here. This rake, I'm gonna enhance this with nothing more than a little bit of soda. That's my sugar right there. Hopefully, I'm gonna pour a little bit of this in here and not spill all over the place. Okay, you don't need much. You never just mix this into the bottle that you bring home from the store. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of this in here, and then I'm going to end the program. Okay? This is liquid insecticide using isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Ooh, a tiny amount of hydrogen peroxide. Okay. Then I'm going to mix this on a bigger scale and show you one further on down the line. Trust me, this stuff works. You can spray it on there. You don't have to use the granular insecticide. And when it rains again, all this stuff will melt right into the ground. You can use this on your trees as well. All right, folks, that's it for this episode. I'm Master Gardener Bernie Delaney. Until next time, be green, and remember, it's not work, it's fun. Catch my shows on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Bye-bye.